Hi guys, I'm Chen Yu from Alibaba Cloud International Training and Certification Team. In today's webinar, we'll teach you how to build a dynamic website using Alibaba Cloud. And also, by the way, today's course is also part of our Alibaba Cloud Apsara Clouder certification course. So if you're interested in our Apsara Clouder certification course, please visit our international portal. Let me show you here. So this is our international version portal, and you can find our training service in here under the support category in here, training and certification. And then you'll see the Apsara Cloud course in here. And you can press learn more to see more information about it. And you can do the pre-registry now. We have a lot of courses that are ready to online. So please have a look. And if you're interested, please do the pre-register now. Okay, so let's move back to the PowerPoint for today's course. Oh, and by the way, in today's course, if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, please press the Ask Question button on the screen, and I'll answer all the questions in the end of today's course, okay? So this is the outline of today's course. So in the first section, we're talking about what do you need to construct a dynamic website, and then we're talking about what is ECS in Alibaba Cloud, and then talk about how to choose your cloud server, which is how to choose your ECS in Alibaba Cloud. And then we'll talk about the ECS storage feature and also its image feature. And finally, we'll do a hands-on demo about building your first dynamic website. So let's move on to the first part. What do you need to build a dynamic website? And first, talking about dynamic website, so we have to define what is a dynamic website, and also on the other hand, what is a static website. So let's first jump to the definition. So first, what is a static website? A static website, it is a website consists of series of HTML files, and each one representing a physical page of a website. And as a static website, each page constitutes a separate HTML file. So when you're visiting, for example, visiting the homepage, you are visiting the actual homepage file. And in a static website scenario, even if you have content, for example, two pages having the same footer, and if you need to update the footer, you have to update twice because the two footer are on two different HTML files independently. And on the other hand, when talking about a dynamic website, a dynamic website uses server-side language. So for example, using PHP or even JSP, ASP.NET to dynamically build a web page when a user visits the page. So when a user navigates to a web address, a dynamic website would do is, first, the user navigate the web address, and then the server find different segments of information and then put them together to a cohesive web page and then present the page to the user. So this is like building a web page on the fly. So how does the two compare? The dynamic and the static website, how do they compare? So here's a table about how the two compare. And you can see that compared to a static website, a dynamic website will consist of generated dynamically, the content will be generated dynamically and changes regularly. And also different from static website only using HTML code, it will be using server-side languages such as PHP, JSP, or even ASP.NET. And in a static website, all the pages will be the same. Even different users, different kind of request, it will respond with the same HTML page. But in a dynamic website, different users, different kind of request may be getting different kind of web page because the web page are generated dynamically. And also, the pages in a dynamic website contain server-side code, so allow the server to generate unique content for users when the page is loaded. And also in the end, a static website, well, it's all static, so the web page are all fixed. Usually you're just building the HTML code and then publish the static website. But in dynamic website scenario, you will mostly be using content management system. Because when the page are generated dynamically, you won't want to build everything from scratch. You will be wanting to take advantage on existing CMS, content management system. So one very good example of the CMS is WordPress. It's a very common, very popular content management system. And in our today's webinar, we'll be teaching using WordPress as well. So when building a dynamic website, you're using a CMS, for example, WordPress. So you will not Then in the dynamic website scenario, you will not only need a cloud server to host the site, you also need an environment that is suitable to run the CMS. So that brings up this later page. That is, what do you need? So for constructing a dynamic website, you will need not only a web server, like for example in Alibaba Cloud, it would be Alibaba Cloud ECS, but also having the server running environment like LAMP, which is Linux operating system, Apache, MySQL database, and PHP, and then you have to install the WordPress package as well. And then after you have everything installed and do the configuration that are required, then you will have a dynamic website that is ready to go. So the scenario will be like this. You'll be having in Alibaba Cloud, we'll be having an ECS ready to work as a cloud server, and then installing the LAMP environment. And then you have the WordPress installed, and then have everything well configured, and then you have the web page ready to go. So then in the previous section, we talked about the things you need to host on a dynamic web page. So the first thing is a cloud server, which is ECS in Alibaba Cloud. So what is ECS? What is exactly ECS? So this is the part that we are going to move on to talk about in this section. So first, let's take a look at the service portfolio of Alibaba Cloud. In Alibaba Cloud, we provide services from computing service, networking service, storage service, database service to monitoring and security service. And by the way, the security service in Alibaba Cloud, it is our strength. We provide one of the best security services in the cloud. And then on top of these fundamental services, we provide further advanced services like big data service, application service like media transcoding or open search, and also log service. And then we provide other kinds of service that support developing and OPS. And then on top of all these services, we provide industry solutions from gaming to web, IoT, media, digital marketing, healthcare, security, to even finance, O2O, storage, and even having government and mobile industry solutions. And for the government solution, we do have a number of government solutions. We co-work with a lot of government institutes in China and also other overseas institutes like the Macau government. We do have a deep cooperation with them. So we provide a number of very good industry solutions on top of all the solutions we provide in Alibaba Cloud. And in this picture, ECS lies in the computing category, and it is the first service in the category, stating that ECS is one of the most fundamental computing service in Alibaba Cloud. So what is ECS, or its full name? Elastic Compute Service. Well, ECS is a computing service with flexible processing capability, and using ECS, you'll be renting a cloud server, and compared to physical servers, ECS provide you more easy deployment, and also you can manage applications with better stability and security, and its flexibility can allow you to lower overall IT cost, enabling you to focus more on your key business innovations. And also, ECS, it is an infrastructure as a service. So what is an infrastructure as a service? And even compared to infrastructure as a service, what are the other definitions like PaaS, platform as a service, and SaaS, software as a service? Well, these are all shown in this picture. So you can see from the left side, it is without cloud, and then move on from left to right, it's infrastructure as a service, IaaS, platform as a service, PaaS, and then software as a service, SaaS. And the blue parts, meaning that these parts should be taken care of by the users, and the gray parts are the parts that are taken care of by the service provider. So you can see without cloud scenario, you need to take care of everything from the networking to storage server, the hardware part, and then the operating system, the middleware, the runtime, the software part, and then the data, the applications, everything you have to take care of by yourself. But when using infrastructure as a service, you won't need to take care of the underlying hardware part. You only take care of the operating system, middleware, runtime, data, and the application. And you can see moving on from left to right to the platform as a service and software as a service, you'll be taking care of lesser and lesser parts. But we'll focus more on the without cloud and IaaS comparison because today we're talking about ECS. So let's move on to this page. So you can see when comparing ECS, infrastructure as a service to without cloud, the O&M, operation and management cost, the comparison will be like this. If you're without cloud, you have to take care of everything. But when using ECS, you only need to manage the operating system, middleware, runtime data, and then to the application. So it saves you nearly half of the work. So that's a very big advantage of using ECS, this kind of infrastructure as a service, cloud service. Okay, so in the previous section, we introduced the kind of like the definition of ECS. So now let's move on how to choose ECS and how to choose the cloud server, which is how to buy the ECS when you want to purchase an ECS instance. So when you want to purchase an ECS instance, well, in here we mentioned about the instance. So what exactly is an ECS instance? Well, an ECS instance, it is the kind of idea that ECS instance is a virtual computing environment and including CPU, memory, and other fundamental computing components. And it is the actual computing entity presented to user. So when you buy an ECS instance, what you will see on the purchase console is a list like this picture shown in this page. So you will see a lot of specifications listed in the list, and then you choose one of the specification and then get the instance that has the identical specification as you choose, and then take it, grab it, and start installing the operating system, all the environments, and then have it ready to serve your needs. So the idea is also shown in this page. An ECS, an instance will be comprised of these 4 elements in the picture, comprised of the CPU, the memory, the storage, and the network. So in Alibaba Cloud, the ECS provides a wide selection of instance types optimized to fit different use cases. And instance types comprise different kinds of CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity. And in Alibaba Cloud, when you want to choose an ECS, you not only need to choose the different types of ECS instances that has different kinds of spec, but also need to choose the ECS region. So now let's talk about what is ECS region. So usually the region thing in Alibaba Cloud, it refers to the city where Alibaba Cloud provide the cloud computing service and where you will launch your instance that you create. So for example, in this picture, the picture below, the user choose Asia Pacific SE1 region, which is Singapore region. And if the person choose this region to launch the ECS, then the ECS will be launched in the Singapore data center hosted by Alibaba Cloud. So generally, a region will cover an area. So for example, in the picture, you'll see one region in China North, that's on the first row, second column. That's the China North to Beijing. The Beijing region will cover the North China area. And in Alibaba Cloud, we currently provide 17 regions around the world. And choosing the region, well, because when you choose to deploy an ECS in, for example, in this picture, in Singapore region, then you will having the ECS instance running in the Singapore region. So then, for example, if you have the users that are mainly in Singapore or in nearby Malaysia, then choosing Singapore region will be a wise choice. But if you have your users mainly in the US, then it will be not as good in Singapore, but we would more recommend you launch the ECS instance in our US regions. We have 2 regions in US, one in US West and one in US East. So we do recommend when you want to launch an ECS instance, you choose a region carefully and better near your expected customers to optimize latency and also minimize the cost and also address regular requirements. And also when talking about cost, there's another thing that when you choose the different regions and if you pay attention to the price listed below, you'll see that sometimes when you choose the regions inside China, the renting price for the ECS will be cheaper compared to choosing the regions like in Middle East or even in the Europe like Germany, Frankfurt. It's because in different regions we have different pricing strategy. So choosing the region also you have to be careful on the different regions having different price so that you can get the best bargain when purchasing the ECS. Okay, and another thing about choosing ECS is zone. So what is this zone idea? The zone idea refers to the physical data center with independent power supply and network in a same region. So for example, in the previous page, we choose the Singapore region in the example picture. And inside the Singapore region, in this picture is Hong Kong. So if we choose the Hong Kong region, and then you'll see the Hong Kong region has different options. And in the picture, it's shown that you can choose random zone or Hong Kong zone C or Hong Kong zone B. So the Hong Kong zone C and Hong Kong zone B means the two different data centers inside Hong Kong region with independent power supply and networking. And so with the zone option, you can choose the resource deployed in different zones based on the distribution policy, and you build the resource in multiple zones. This thing can help you facilitate high availability. But of course, you have your resource being deployed in different zones. They will introduce some network latency because they are running in independent data centers. So on the other side, if you deploy your instances in the same zone, this will facilitate your communication latency because they are running in the same data center, but then you will not have the high availability. So it's kind of a design choice. You have to choose whether you're more focused on high availability or you want lower communication latency. Then you can deploy your ECS resources in the same zone or in different zones within the same region. And usually in Alibaba Cloud, our regions contain 1 to 3 availability zones. And mostly inside China, our China regions, they have more than 2 availability zones. Okay, so also here's one additional thing we have to talk about, which is the cost optimization. So when you purchase an ECS instance, there are 2 ways you can pay the bill. The first way is you pay using pay-as-you-go mode. In the pay-as-you-go mode, you'll be paying for the computing capacity by second. And then you don't need to do any prepay because you're using pay-as-you-go. This is a post-pay mode. So you just purchase the ECS instance and then use it. And after you use it for 5 minutes, then you'll be only paying for the 5-minute usage bill. Okay? So it will bill you for the exact volume you consume. And there's no need for a long-term commitment or upfront payment. But however, although pay-as-you-go provide this convenience, and also in pay-as-you-go mode, if you don't like the ECS instance you rent, you can always terminate it and stop paying at any time you want. That's the convenience of pay-as-you-go mode. So it provides you a lot of convenience, but however, the unit price is a bit more expensive when using pay-as-you-go mode. So if you rent an ECS instance in pay-as-you-go mode for a while and find, oh, this is the exact ECS instance I want to keep using it for 6 months or even a year, then it is more recommended to change from pay-as-you-go mode to subscription mode. So when using subscription mode, you have extra discount compared to pay-as-you-go mode. And the longer you subscribe, the more discount you will get. And in Alibaba Cloud, we provide monthly or yearly subscription. And it's better, the subscription mode is better suitable for those that require long-term resources. Okay, so now let's move on to the networking part. Because in Alibaba Cloud, when you rent an ECS, there are 2 kinds of fee that you will see on the bill. The first is ECS renting fee. So the earlier part, for this part, we're talking about the ECS renting fee. But now let's talk about the networking fee. So before we talk about networking fee, we need to talk about what are the traffic that we'll encounter when purchasing an ECS instance. So in this example, we present an example region that is Singapore region, and you have an ECS running in zone A. And in this case, you will have not only inbound traffic, but also outbound traffic. And in Alibaba Cloud, only outbound traffic, the bill will be applied on outbound traffic. So in other words, you will only be charged when users download data from your ECS instance. And all inbound traffic are free. And also in another cases, the fee is also only applied on public network. So the other case will be like this. If you have in the Singapore region, you have an ECS instance 1 in zone A and another ECS instance 2 in zone B, and the two are communicating to each other, ECS1 communicating to ECS2, because those two are in the same region, although in different zones, they are communicating using private network, and all traffic in private network are free. So you'll only be charged for the public network communicating to your ECS and only the outbound part. If you only have the ECS instances doing private network communication, then there will not be any traffic fee. Okay, and finally, let's talk about some additional settings. Like when you want to purchase an ECS, in the current version of international version Alibaba Cloud, you have to choose your ECS instance in the VPC. And inside VPC, you need to set something like vRouter and vSwitch. And also you need to set the security group. And in Alibaba Cloud, we provide users with default security group and default VPC and vSwitch. It is for users' convenience because sometimes when users just start to use Alibaba Cloud, they don't really have the idea how to set the security group and how to set the VPC and vSwitch. So we provide all the default settings for users so they can just apply the default setting and then have everything ready to go and run and use it. So the default security group is provided for users with default security options, and they have all the default ports open already. So user can just use the default security group and then have everything ready to use. And the default VPC and vSwitch are also the same logic, having everything preset ready for users to use directly. So later in the demo part, you'll see me demoing how to apply the default security group and default VPC and vSwitch when buying the ECS. Okay, so that's all for the ECS, the main things you have to choose when purchasing an ECS. But there's one more thing you have to choose, which is the storage. Because in the earlier part, we talk about the ECS instance types and also the kind of bills that they will show up when purchasing an ECS. But we haven't talked about the storage part. So now we are moving on to the storage in the ECS, and then also talking about a feature in the storage, which is the image feature. So when you purchase an Alibaba Cloud ECS, you have to decide the cloud disk that is used by the ECS, and the cloud disk is used for the system disk and also for data disk. And in Alibaba Cloud, the cloud disk is based on an distributed file management system developed by Alibaba Cloud, which is Apsara Pangu. In this Pangu, we have 3 redundant copies stored in different physical servers. So when you have a file in one instance stored in a cloud disk, then this file will have 3 redundant backups on 3 different machines. This is supported by the Pangu distributed file management system and all done automatically in the background. So this provides a very high data reliability. It's 99.999999%. So this provides extremely high data reliability, and also in Alibaba Cloud, the cloud disk provide a very easy mount feature, and there are also 2 types of cloud disk that is provided. In Alibaba Cloud, we provide Ultra Cloud Disk and SSD Cloud Disk, and you can choose the type of cloud disk that you need. The Ultra Cloud Disk is a little bit cheaper, but it has a more dynamic IOPS. Its IOPS is not very stable. Sometimes you will get lower IOPS. And the SSD Cloud Disk is more expensive, but it provides very stable IOPS. And in most cases, the SSD Cloud Disk has higher IOPS than the Ultra Cloud Disk. So so choosing which type of cloud disk is depending on your use cases and the scenario. Like for example, you have a database that have very high frequent read-write request on it, and you need very stable and high IOPS, then it's more recommended to choose the SSD cloud disk. And also there's another feature which is called disk image. This feature is mainly for the system disk. That is when you purchase an Alibaba cloud and then you decide the system disk, which is in SSD cloud disk or ultra cloud disk. And then you need to choose the disk image for the system disk. And the disk image contains the runtime environment for the ECS instance, including OS, pre-installed software, and related configurations. In Alibaba Cloud, we provide three types of disk image. The first type is the system image, also known as public image. So you'll have, in default in Alibaba Cloud, if you don't choose other types of images, you will be choosing the system image. So there will be a list of very common mainstream Linux distributions and also Windows Server for you to choose from. And then you choose, for example, if you choose the CentOS, then your Alibaba Cloud ECS, its system disk will be pre-installed with CentOS operating system. And the other kind of disk image is the marketplace image. So for users' convenience, we provide third-party images that are on the marketplace. And these third-party images, they contain not only the underlying operating system, but also some pre-installed packages, like some images, they have the LAMP pre-installed already. And even some images, they not only have the Linux operating system and the LAMP environment, and also WordPress or some third-party software packages pre-installed in it, so that you don't need to do all the installation by yourself. You can use the marketplace image and then have everything launched immediately and then have it ready to go. So this is the type of image that we would choose in today's webinar. And then it's user-defined image, which is custom image. So you can also define your own image as well in Alibaba Cloud. But in today's course, we'll be mainly focusing on the marketplace image. So let's do a comparison. So traditionally, if you have an ECS instance and you need to have a LAMP environment installed ready and also install the WordPress on it, then traditionally, if you do things in the old way, you use an Alibaba Cloud ECS instance and you don't use the marketplace image, you just use in our previous slide, you use the system image or public image. Then you will purchase an ECS instance and then having the required OS pre-installed on it. And then you have to manually install like Nginx, PHP, MySQL, WordPress, do all the installation and the related packages by yourself. And then you do the configuration by yourself, the settings, and then finally you have an environment ready to go. But if you use a marketplace image, then all you need to do is to take a look at the marketplace image spec, seeing does it have all the packages you need. If it does, then you choose the image, choose the marketplace image, and then you purchase the ECS with the marketplace image. And then after the ECS is launched, it has everything you need and is ready to go. Okay, so now let's move on to the demo part. So let's start building our first dynamic website. So let me put the browser on the screen again. Okay. So let's now start doing the demo in here. So let me go back to the home page. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is the page you'll see when you log into the Alibaba Cloud Console. So after you log into the Alibaba Cloud Console, you can go to the Elastic Compute Service. This is the ECS. Or you can go to the ECS console by clicking the product button here. And then in the Elastic Computing category, so click on it, it will open the ECS console. So in default, you'll see no ECS instance running, no running ECS instance. That's very normal. If you just start to use Alibaba Cloud, of course, you will have nothing running yet. So let's, in our example, let's choose the Singapore region. So if you want to buy an ECS instance, you just choose the region you want, and then press the button here to buy the instance. So let me press it to buy the instance. So in here, you will see our new version UI. So this UI is quite convenient. It actually hides some very complicated settings. So you can do the purchase directly here and have everything done more easily. But well, in this course, I do want to introduce some more difficult, more advanced settings in the Alibaba Cloud Purchase Console. So let's switch back to the old version. Okay, so this is the old version Alibaba Cloud Purchase Console for ECS. So in this case, please don't choose the starter package because I want to show you some advanced options. So let's stick on the advanced purchase. Oh, I have to switch again. Hold on a second. Okay, so you can see on the purchase console, the first section will ask you to choose the pricing mode. And in our case, because we're doing a demo, I would prefer and it's recommended to do in pay-as-you-go mode. And then let's take a look. So here are all the regions available in Alibaba Cloud. And in our example, let me choose the Singapore and choose, I think Zone B is okay. So let's choose Zone B. And for the instance type, there are a number of instance types having different combinations of CPU, memory. So you can see that we have them categorized in different generations. And with these small boxes are different type families. So let's take a look. So for the generation 1 and 2 are more earlier version generations. So recently, we do recommend users to choose generation 3 or the new coming generation 4. But in our case, let's stick on the generation 3. And we use general type. General type is okay for our case. But if you have some special use scenarios, like you need some very advanced computing, like you need the instance with more advanced CPU, then you can choose the compute optimized types. Or you have the use case that with high I/O requirement, you can use the high I/O type. Or if your case have very high networking demand, then you can choose the network enhanced the network enhanced instance type families. But in our case, let's choose the general type family and then choose cheapest. Let's choose a cheapest ones because this one is just for example. And then here comes the networking setting. So in default, you have to choose VPC, and here comes the default VPC settings here. So these are all the default settings that you can choose. And also for the security group, you can choose the default security group. Okay, and here this is the part that tell you how the network will be billing. You can choose from, there's only one option for you to choose, that is the data transfer. So the network billing will be according to the amount of data transfer, the outbound data transfer in your ECS instance. And also to prevent that you have the data transfer to bandwidth peak in here. But in our case, because we're just doing a demo, so let's just choose one. Okay, just for an example. And then here's the place you choose the operating system. So if you choose the public image, then you will only be pre-installing these operating systems in your ECS instance. And also, by the way, some students, they do often ask me, what is this Alibaba Linux? Well, this Alibaba Linux is actually a special version of CentOS that is actually being modified by our Alibaba Cloud engineers. We do some tailoring, we season it a little bit, and then have it published in our branding Alibaba Linux. But it's mainly it's actually compatible with the CentOS. So if you have your applications that are runnable on CentOS, then you will have your applications runnable too on the Alibaba Linux. And in our internal testings, we do found that the same applications in Alibaba Cloud ECS, if you run it in the ECS that has CentOS running on it, or the ECS with Alibaba Linux running on it, usually it will be the ECS running Alibaba Linux on it, having the application that performs better. So we do recommend, if you usually use CentOS, you can try our Alibaba Linux. It does perform much better on our Alibaba Cloud ECS instance. But in today's demo, we will choose the marketplace image. And in here, let's choose this one, the WordPress on LAMP in Ubuntu. And also, here's a hyperlink. You can actually press it to take a look on this marketplace image. So you'll see here's a full product detail of this marketplace image. So these are the, let me zoom it a little bit. So these are the packages that are pre-installed in this marketplace image. And we are happy, and I'm quite satisfied with these packages, so I want to choose this one. So you just click on it, make sure this option become blue, and then we'll continue drag down. So then this is the part we choose the system disk. Well, in our case, Ultra Cloud Disk is already enough because we're just doing a demo, but you can still choose SSD Cloud Disk if you prefer. And then you can set the password here, or you can set it later. If you set it later, Alibaba Cloud will assign a root password for you. But of course, later in ECS console, you can change the root password at any time you want to a password you prefer. And finally, for the purchase plan, you can set an instance name, but if you don't set it, Alibaba Cloud will leave it blank and produce a random instance name for you. And for the number of instances, we're just doing a demo, so just leave it 1. And then finally, here's an overview again to recap the settings. And if you're happy with this setting, and you can see in the bottom part, there are 3 prices. The first is for renting the instance cost. The second is using the marketplace image, there will be the fee. But the image we choose, which is this one, it's it's actually free. Yeah, the pricing is actually fully free. So there won't be any price applied on the marketplace image fee. And then for the traffic fee, here say that every GB, it will cost you $0.081 US. So everything is okay. Then we go to the buy now. We press the buy now. And we review everything. And if it's okay, you don't see anything that's wrong or any mail option didn't show up, then we do the activate. And then just wait it for a few seconds. It's running on the background. And then, okay, we have everything activated. So let's move to the console. Okay, so let's go back to the Singapore region. Let's press the instance. There should be 1 instance that's starting. Okay, so before we jump to our ECS instance and see the WordPress that's running on the ECS instance, there's one more thing you have to do. You have to go to the security group. So let's move to the security group. And so you can see now there's, in this security group, there's one related instance, which is the instance we just bought. And then we have to configure the rules in here. So these are the default rules in the security group. And we want to add some additional rules for our WordPress to be runnable on this in this security group setting. So we click the quickly create rules. And then we enable port 22, port 80, and port 443. So it's very simple. You just choose the 80, 443, and 22, and authorize 0.0.0.0/0, and then press OK. And then you'll see the settings are applied. You have 80, 443, 22 are allowed and authorized from 0.0.0.0/0. Okay, so now we have everything ready. So let's go back to the instance. And oh, it's running now. Okay, so let's take a look on the WordPress that is pre-installed in this ECS instance. So if you want to access the WordPress, you just copy the internet IP address and then put it into the address bar. And then just wait a while for the WordPress to, okay, so it's now ready to go. You can start setting your WordPress and having your first dynamic website ready to go now. Okay, so that's for the demo part. And now now let's move on to the Q&A session. I think there are some questions shown up now already. So let me answer some questions here. So first question is, Oh, does Alibaba Cloud support Magento? So can I follow the same measures as you explained for WordPress and get Magento from the marketplace? So this question asks me, does the marketplace have the image that support Magento? Well, I do recommend you go to our Alibaba Cloud marketplace. Let me show it in here. So let me pull the browser up again. So if you go back to, let's move back to our Alibaba Cloud portal. So if you're curious of what are the available images in our Alibaba Cloud, then you just go back to our Alibaba Cloud portal, and then you go to the marketplace here. And then you can search for the kind of resource you require. Like for example, if I just start using Alibaba Cloud, I don't even know does the WordPress is does the WordPress kind of WordPress type of image is provided in Alibaba Cloud Marketplace. Then I just type the keyword and then do the searching, and then it will list all the available resources in here. So you can do this kind of searching by yourself and then find it out. And the second question is, I'm considering different web hosting providers. What unique advantages does Alibaba Cloud offer? Oh, okay. So are there other benefits? Okay, so that's actually a very, very nice question, a cool question. So in Alibaba Cloud, we provide this kind of ECS instance as a cloud server and for you to use it to host your web page. So in Alibaba Cloud, we have very powerful security products. So actually, I think yeah, so that's actually quite nice. I can mention it in here actually. So when purchasing the Alibaba Cloud, let me go back to the purchasing page. Okay. There's one thing that you will see when doing the purchasing. So I just skip it a little bit. To prevent I spend too much time on the demo, but let's mention it here. So when you purchase the ECS, up here, so there's actually a checkbox here to activate the server guard. The server guard is actually a kind of software that's similar to antivirus software that is provided by Alibaba Cloud for ECS, and it's totally for free. So if you have the server guard activated in your ECS, you will have a free antivirus feature capacity in your ECS, and also server guard can do brute force password cracking. It can help defense brute force password cracking and also defense DDoS attack. And also it can help you do the patching for the packages you install on the ECS instance to prevent those kind of attack like zero-day attack. So it's a very good product and provide very good security measures. And other than that, Alibaba Cloud also provide solutions like here. We provide web hosting solutions. So if you're interested in what Cloud provide, you can go to our homepage and go to the solution category, press the web hosting, and then you'll see we have a very rich kind of introduction explained in this page about our advantage in the web hosting solutions and why you can rely on our web hosting solutions. So if you're curious about this part, please take a look at this page. There are a lot of things elaborated in this page that can really explain all your questions about the web hosting in Alibaba Cloud. So also, there's another question that can I deploy my website in multiple regions? My main audience is in China. Ah, yes, of course you can. So in this case, your main customers are in China and Australia. So in this case, you can deploy your website in Alibaba Cloud China region. So like for example, you deploy it in the Hangzhou region. And the other side, you can deploy it in Australia, like in the Singapore region. Not Singapore, sorry, in the Sydney region. So in Australia, we have a region in Sydney, and in China, you can deploy it in one of the regions in China, like Hangzhou. But in this case, you will need to have the two sites doing the synchronization. because you don't want to have your users visiting the China website and see one version and visiting the Australia website and seeing another version, right? So you need to do the synchronization. In Alibaba Cloud, we have this kind of service to do the synchronization for you. And also, uh, there are two cases for this question solution. That is, you can have the China customer visiting a address for especially for the China customer, and for the Australian customer, you have an additional address for the Australian customer. You can do this. That's one way. And the other way is you can have the same address for your website, and then you use Alibaba Cloud Smart DNS. The Smart DNS can help you do the DNS restoration, and then it can identify, oh, the user is from China. And if the user is from China, then the Smart DNS will redirect the user to your China region, like the Hangzhou region website. And if the user is from Australia, then the Smart DNS will help you direct the user to the Australian region, the Sydney region's website. So this will help you to maintain with the same address for your portal, but directing different regions user to different regions website. Okay. Also, there's a final question, the question 4. Is it a necessary to use VPC? Well, this is a must now in Alibaba Cloud International version. So you can see, let's go back to the purchase. I just happen to have it open here. So when you drag down to the networking part, there's only one option for you to choose. That is the VPC. Because in Alibaba Cloud, I think last year in early 2017, we still provide another type of networking option, which is the classic network. But now we all move on to the VPC, the virtual private network, because the VPC, this one, it actually provide a higher security and can provide a better isolation for users. So now we're fully moved to the VPC. So there's no more the other option, which is the classic network option. So it's no longer available. Now we only have VPC. So let me check. That's all for the questions. Okay, so that's all for the questions. Okay, thanks you guys. You do ask a lot of questions. I'm quite happy to see all these questions. That means everyone is actually listening to my webinar. Okay, so that's all for today's webinar. The recording will be available soon on our Alibaba Cloud International portal, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you guys for listening, and bye-bye.